Biology Department at Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences Brawijaya University located in Malang City, East Java has become to establish education and teaching to bachelor since August 1987. Biology Department of Brawijaya University has a vision to become a role model according to the best international standard, to be a research place to develop modern biology concept, to have high awareness of conserve biodiversity, and to support applied sciences for the sake of human welfare. The missions of the department are to educate students to become graduates who have a thorough understanding of the concept of modern biology and bioconservation. Graduates must have good profile or academic achievement, uphold ethics by respecting right for life, and be able to work together in the neighborhood. To play an important role as a pioneer institutions of education and biology research, which is able to find new knowledge and actively participate in developing ideas and concepts to support the development of applied sciences. To serve the education programs and biological expertise to the professional community or laity, to act as a pioneer in helping to solve biological problems of mankind. Since 2015, Biology Department accredited by Asian University Network Quality Assurance or ONQA. The environment supports the creation of a good and comfortable learning systems for students. There are 7 laboratories to expose the learning process. Laboratory of Plant Physiology, Tissue Culture and Microtechnique has a vision to be the excellent and reliable laboratory with international standard. Become the best laboratory in establishing research and service of plant taxonomy, structure, and development to support the development and utilization of endemic and native plants in Indonesia is the vision of Laboratory of Plant Taxonomy, Structure, and Growth. Laboratory of Cellular Biology and Molecular has a vision to become the best laboratory with international standard in conducting lab work and research related to animal molecular and cellular. This vision is strengthened by one of its missions to conduct lab work for students of undergraduate, master and doctoral program to produce creative and competent graduates in animal molecular and cellular. The Laboratory of Animal Physiology, Structure and Growth has a vision to become an international standard laboratory which applies the concept of modern biotechnology as a center of biomedical research and molecular as services for human. Become international standard laboratory applying modern biotechnology concept as research center and tropical microbiology service for human welfare and environmental conservation is a vision of Laboratory of Microbiology. Laboratory of Computational Biology and Bioinformatics has a vision to increase the awareness of the academics about computational technology to support the development of biological sciences for humans and the environment. Its main mission is to develop various types of modeling in an effort to deepen understanding of life. The last laboratory that had been provided by Biology Department is Laboratory of Ecology and Animal Diversity. Not just in laboratory, this
Universitas Brawijaya adalah kampus tujuan paling favorit di Indonesia. Para mahasiswa datang dari berbagai daerah di Indonesia serta dari luar negeri. Universitas Brawijaya semula merupakan yayasan perguruan tinggi bernama Yayasan Perguruan Tinggi Malang pada tahun 1958. Terletak di pusat kota Malang yang terkenal dengan hawa yang segar dan udara yang sejuk, Universitas Brawijaya telah menciptakan lingkungan kampus yang asri. Dengan tata ruang yang terpelihara dengan baik dan didukung oleh tenaga pengajar yang berkualitas, kampus yang nyaman dan kondusif untuk proses belajar dan mengajar, serta untuk mengembangkan bakat dan minat. Universitas Brawijaya membuka akses belajar yang seluas-luasnya bagi calon mahasiswa berbakat, termasuk mahasiswa disabilitas. Saat ini, ribuan lebih mahasiswa mendapatkan beasiswa dari berbagai instansi, baik pemerintah maupun Universitas Brawijaya memiliki 14 fakultas, pascasarjana, dan program vokasi. Dengan didukung lebih dari 140 guru besar dan 400 dosen peneliti yang berpengalaman mengajar dan meneliti di berbagai bidang ilmu pengetahuan, teknologi, sosial, budaya, dan humaniora, Universitas Brawijaya siap mengembangkan proses pendidikan yang bermutu dan berstandar internasional untuk menghasilkan lulusan berdaya saing global. Untuk menunjang kompetensi dan keterampilan mahasiswa, Universitas Brawijaya menyediakan berbagai laboratorium dengan peralatan yang berteknologi canggih dan modern, termasuk laboratorium lapangan, sehingga budaya penelitian yang kuat terus berkembang ditandai dengan penemuan inovatif yang bermanfaat bagi masyarakat luas. Karya ilmiah yang bermutu dan inovasi diciptakan Sivitas Akademika sebagai wahana pendidikan, penelitian, dan pengabdian kepada masyarakat. Sebagai perwujudan komitmen sebagai world-class entrepreneurial university, berbagai sarana dan prasarana serta beragam wahana bagi berbagai aktivitas mahasiswa disediakan untuk menjamin terciptanya peserta didik yang unggul dan berprestasi. Banyak lulusan Universitas Brawijaya yang saat ini menempati posisi penting dan berkontribusi nyata di Indonesia maupun di tingkat internasional.
Dari pengajarnya dulu zaman saya kuliah banyak praktisinya, jadi saya ngerasa benar-benar kepake banget, bukan cuma belajar teori tapi prakteknya kita dapat.
Dari pengalaman kuliah yang paling berkesan ya karena saya anak organisasi, jadi ya di kepanitiaan, terus saya di sana belajar tentang kepemimpinan.
Dulu yang depan saya itu Fakultas Peternakan, sekarang udah berapa lantai udah ya? Malah ada liftnya. Dulu nggak ada.
Dengan semangat kami, Universitas Brawijaya akan menunjukkan kepada dunia pendidikan yang berintegritas dan humanis, serta berada pada barisan terdepan dalam pengembangan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi. Dengan bangga hati dan penuh percaya diri, lulusan Universitas Brawijaya siap menyongsong masa depan, holding up global future.
Duh. Halo.
Ya, halo Prof, kedengaran.
Oh, kedengeran ya. Oke, sip.
Ini matiin dulu.
Ladies and gentlemen, the opening ceremony is going to start in a minute. Please find and ready your comfortable place. Ladies and gentlemen, the opening ceremony will be going start in a minute. Please find and ready your comfortable place. Excellencies, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good morning, selamat pagi, peace be upon you, best wishes to us all. We thank God Almighty because over the blessing and graces, we can meet and join this virtual conference. Ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted you welcome to the 11th International Conference on Global Resource Conservation, ICGRC 2020, with them synergizing knowledge for post 2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. My name is Ilham Pangeswarwoko. It's my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. Warm regards and greet from me. Before we begin this event, let us pray with God will make the event that we'll hold today go well and get God's blessing. We can start together with the word of prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hosted in the city of Paris of East Java, Malang, Biology Department, Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Science, Brawijaya University, has the honor to present you this international conference. This conference is annual conference since 2010. The conference aims to strengthen coherence and synergies among several areas, including agriculture, biodiversity, conservation, ecology, environmental science, and sustainable material and research. The 11th ICGRC facilitates the international communities to synergize their latest knowledge and discovers the identify fundamental problems in COP with achieving sustainable biodiversity and new strategies in order to prevent the decline of global biodiversity. It's an honor to me introduce and welcome the keynote speaker, the Honorable Prof. Jatna Supriyatna, from Chairman of Research of Climate Change, RCCC, University of Indonesia, Prof. San Ki-hong from Mokpo National University, South Korea, Prof. Ying Chil Zhou from National Pingtung University Science and Technology, Taiwan, Prof. Dr. Rer Nadgerion Albers from FH Aachen Applied University Applied of Science, Germany, Dr. Jarunwit Bunurat from Raja Mangala University of Technology, Taniaburi, Thailand, and Prof. Lukman Hakim from Brawijaya University. And also, we welcome the presenter and participant on the 11th ICGRC 2020. This event supported by Brawijaya University, Indonesian Society for Microbiology, Indonesian Society for Plant Taxonomy, and Consortium Biologi Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now opening the ceremony of ICGRC 2020 by listen welcome speech by the Chairman Committee of ICGRC 2020. Please welcome Mrs. Mufida Afianti, PhD.
International Conference on Global Resource Conservation. This year's conference is different from previous ones since we are now facing world pandemic virus COVID-19, which took millions of victims in whole world. Virtual conference became our best choice in keeping ourselves safe and productive. There is a greater consciousness regarding biodiversity downfall these past decades. Several strategies had been planned and initiated by worldwide communities to upgrade the sustainable diversity years before 2020. However, in fact, targets for biodiversity still cannot be achieved globally. Thus, synergizing knowledge for post-2020 global biodiversity framework is necessary to be undertaken. The interest of the international scientific community is clear. The conference has attracted 125 participants from several countries. The subject range from agriculture biodiversity, conservation ecology, environmental science, sustainable materials and resources. I am sure that the selected topics will provide you with a wealth of information and many opportunities for discussions. We would like to deliver a deep appreciation to the dedicated committee members, honorable speakers, and active participants who have invested significant time to success this event. Additional thanks are given to Brawijaya University and Indonesian Biology Consortium, Indonesian Society for Plant Taxonomy, and Indonesian Society for Microbiology for their support. Finally, let us keep practicing health protocols, and we hope you all stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mufida Afianti, PhD, for the speech and officiating of ICGRC. We are now listening to the welcome speech delivered by Dean of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Science, Brawijaya University. Please welcome Professor Dr. Andes Adi Susilo, PhD.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Dean of Faculty of Science, Universitas Brawijaya, we are very pleased to welcome you in the International Conference on Global Resource Conservation or ICGRC, 11th 2020 in Malang, Indonesia. The theme of this conference is Synergizing Knowledge for Post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. According to the committee, there are more than 125 participants who are from some countries around us. The keynote speakers are from Germany, Taiwan, Thailand, and South Korea. Welcome to all participants, and especially the keynote speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this conference is very good conference. In this situation of this pandemic, we still have the opportunity to conduct the conference. The sharing knowledge is still continue, even though the online conference right now. This is a very beautiful conference and sharing knowledge. Anyway, Malang is one of the educational city in Indonesia. Malang has about more than 50 universities, including 3 state or public universities, which are Universitas Brawijaya in our university, University Negeri Malang, and Islamic State University of Malang. Malang, which is about more than 400 meters above sea level, has many tourist destinations. Malang is like a bowl, surrounded by some volcanoes. In the east, we know Semeru and Bromo volcanoes. West is Kawi and Klut volcanoes, and north Arjuno and Welirang complex. In the south are coastal areas where we have many beautiful new opening beaches. So you all participants and keynote speakers should visit one of these places. Conservation is very important for our earth. We have to guard our earth for our next generation. This is a very important task for us. Finally, I hope based on this paper presented, hopefully more collaboration can be initiated or should be followed up. Also, by conducting this conference and workshop, probably we can communicate our research, solving our problems, and strengthening our collaboration. Thus, let us give our gratitude to the keynote speakers of this conference and all conference participants. Welcome to the 11th International Conference on Global Resource Conservation in Malang, Indonesia. Again, I would like to express my gratitude to all the participants, keynote and invited speakers as well. Many thanks also to the reviewers and the editorial teams for their big efforts in supporting this book of abstract. May my big appreciation to the steering and organizing committee in realizing this conference. So, by the say Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, the 11th International Conference in this faculty, in this biology department is open. Thank you very much and have nice discussion and conference. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Andes Adi Susilo, MSc PhD, for the speech. We are now continue our meeting to the next agenda, the plenary sessions. The first one will be on the morning before parallel sessions, and the second one will be on the evening after parallel session. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming keynote speaker, Prof. Jatna Supriyatna from University Indonesia, Prof. San Ki-hong from Mokpo National University, South Korea, and Prof. Ying Sil-so from National Pintung University, Science and Technology, Taiwan. The keynote speaker will be moderated by Professor Amin Setiolaksono, PhD. To Professor Amin Setiolaksono, PhD, time is yours.
Thank you, MC, for the time. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Annyeong haseyo, Prof. Hong. Chào an, Prof. Zhou. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Amin Setiolaksono from Department of Biology, Universitas Brawijaya. It is my honor to be a moderator in this morning plenary session. This morning, we have three speakers, Professor Jatna Supriyatna, Professor Sun Ki Hong, and Professor Jing Zizhou. Before the presentation begins, let me inform you the regulation, how the presentation will be going on. Firstly, I would like to give time to the speakers one by one to present the material for about 30 minutes. After that, the audience may ask a question or give a comment through a chat room, and the committee will collect it and send to me. At the discussion session, I will select and read the three questions for per speakers, and the speakers will respond one by one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our first speakers will be Professor Jatna Supriyatna. He is a professor in conservation biology from Department of Biology, Faculty of Mathematics and Science, Universitas Indonesia. He graduated his master and doctorate degree from University of New Mexico, USA, plus pre and postdoctoral at Columbia University. In New York, he is a chief editor or member or board editor of several reputable international journals. He also served a member of board of supervision of Bornean Orangutan Survival Foundation and board of the member of Biodiversity and Development Foundation. He has also served as chairman of Indonesia Biologists Association Jakarta chapter in 1999. He also been an active member of several international organizations such as IUCN, World Conservation in a Protected Area, IUCN Specialist Survival Commission, Primate Specialist Group, International Primatological Society, Society for Conservation Biologists, and many others. He published many books and articles in international journals. For those who their field of study are ecology or conservation biology would be familiar with buku of biologi konservasi or biological conservation and menyelamatkan alam Indonesia or saving of Indonesia nature. In this session, Professor Jatna will deliver a speech entitled Biodiversity Crisis, Deforestation and Disease Ecology, Lesson Learned from Indonesia. Professor Jatna, 30 minutes ahead is your time, please.
Thank you, moderators, Bapak Moderator. Good morning, everybody. Selamat pagi for those who can speak Bahasa and also speak other language. So I'm really honored to give a keynote speech on this International Conference on Global Resource Conservation. So my title, as mentioned by moderators, is the Biodiversity Crisis, Deforestation, and Disease Ecology. This is lesson learned from Indonesia. So next slide. I would like to start with what is Indonesia, because I do believe that many of participants really don't understand really well about Indonesia. As you can see in the picture, the red side is the earthquake. Indonesia, it's of course like Japan and many other countries who are really sit in the ring of fires. Has like 2,000 earthquake within 10 years. Maybe the last 2 years, even more than 2,000. So our side, it's a really, really in the seat of geological phenomenon. As you can see that the middle of Indonesia, especially in the Wallacea areas, East Indonesia, there are so many subduction, and that's why it's we are very rich in biodiversity. Approximately 55 ecosystem in Indonesia. Indonesia with more than 500 language, and that's really important. So if you are, we have 17,000 more islands. So if you say stay one day for one island, you need 49 years to understand Indonesia. That's why we really need the principle of unity in diversity for Indonesia to understand the whole 17,000 islands. Next slide. Why is that? This is really the books of mega diversity countries, also the biodiversity action plan by Bapenas. So it's city Indonesia, it's 5 with Brazil. We do have 10% of the flowering plants. We have 15% of insects, 25% of fish in the world, 16% amphibian, 17% bird, and 12% of mammals. So if you categorize Indonesia, it's really maybe number 1 or number 2 in the world. You know, it's comparable to Brazil, where the lands it's about 6 times of Indonesia. But because of our ocean, it's a big ocean, 81,000 kilometers coastal length. That's why we are really, really rich. The tropical rainforest is really big, about 39 million. That is really still intact forest. But of course, many others, maybe 70 million, it's really already degraded. So we have for the early 1985 to 97, we are really in the very, very bad. We have deforestation. It's really high, 1.6 million hectares per year, and up to 2.5 million hectares per year in really in the crisis, they call it financial crisis. Then much better off 2016, I think, because the president already make the president decree on moratorium of the virgin forests. And that's why the deforestation is reduced significantly. What is that? Because of logging, agriculture expansion, and infrastructure. Next slide. So, as you may know, that biodiversity is very important. So this is really an example of many biodiversity values. It's really big for pharmaceutical, biotechnology, plant protection, seedling, ornamental biota, and many others. It's really about more than 2 billion, maybe, 1,000 billion, $2,000 billion. That worth it market value in 2006. So biodiversity, it's our life. It's really our depending on, and biodiversity is in daily life. You know. Next slide. So what is biodiversity for? I think we have been using biodiversity for our biodiversity is a green, so which means that we have been doing this for quite long time, you know, because since we are starting being human, we are using biodiversities for many purposes. So bacteria, antibacterial, anti-fungi, anti-malarial, and many others. So because more than 150, the drug, it's used based on the biodiversities or natural sources, basically from 75% of plants, fungi, bacteria, and many others. But we also use more than 7,000 plant species for food, you know, and then there's still 70,000 a potential plant and all edible plants. So there's still a lot of area or thing that has to be done in biodiversity, utilization biodiversities. The function, may understand that this increased resistance to invasion by exotic plants. If we have good biodiversity, also regulate pathogen and also carbon sequestration recently. Of course, there is also nutrient mineralization. So next slide. So let me, what is biodiversity prospecting in Indonesia? Posted potential for 40,000 species, because currently we have been using 6,000 plants for food, If you track one tribe to other tribes, we have 500 to 700 tribes. And so there are a lot of students now doing this, understanding what the food that has been taken from the wild. About 2,500 medicinal plants, and what we call the jamu and many others. And also we have been seasoning, like yeast, tempeh, tauco, and many others. And also we have been doing domestication. For example, make fish, or starting the Majapahit kingdom, we have been domesticated the milkfish, but we still are very traditional in the farming of the milkfish. We've been doing this collection of rattan and non-timber forest product. There's still there a lot of things that we have to be extracted before everything is gone. So also we have more than 400 fruits. Unfortunately, that what we eat, fruit right now is like oranges, avocados, or apples, and many other things are not Indonesian origin. We still have a lot of Indonesian origin fruit that has to be domesticated or already domesticated, but really need to be improve the qualities of the fruits. We do have 370 vegetable, 55 spices, especially. Indonesia is very famous during the colonized world, which is like seasoning, like cengkeh and many others. So that is a very important thing. And also, of course, that recently Indonesia is very important for environmental services, and including tourism and many others. So durian, for example, we do have more than 60 species, 60 varieties of durian. But of course, they are the gold fruit is still need to be improved. And under that, there's a pictures of me with the labio barbus, the Indonesian fishes from Borneo, who's very, very big, till 12 kilograms, that really need to be domesticated. Right now, fortunately, there is one tribe in North Sumatra who can domesticate, who had already domesticated this area, this fish. Next slide. So, what is the threat for biodiversity? It's of course that the currently is the overpopulation. Human overpopulation, of course, now is already 7 billion people. Deforestation, because the need for timber, and many others. Pollution, wildlife huntings, and climate change recently. So I'd like to have that. If you see that the graphs from IUCN, the threatened species is becoming more and more. That's becoming the increase the threatened species in many other countries, including Indonesia. I mean, compared to the baseline, we predicted that in the red one it should be that, but in fact, it's really, really high. Next slide. So if you see that this is really the Bernadetta Margono who really look at the deforestation in Indonesia. So from the, you can see that 2001, it's going up and up until 2012, as I mentioned previously. 2016, because of the president decree moratorium on the forest, virgin forest, so that they are reduced, becoming 600,000 again. So that's really a very important point on this deforestation crisis. Of course, if you are losing the forest, is the crisis of the biodiversities. Next slide. What is the culprit, or what is the drivers of this? Primarily because of the conversion of our forest into the oil palm. The oil palm, it's about 15 million hectares right now. So that's why it's really important that is when we have to stop, because it's become more and more. The problem is that the net present values of these commodities is so high compared to other commodities, agriculture commodities. And that's why the habitat of primates, habitat of many other wildlife was taken by these commodities. And then I think that Indonesia now is currently becoming 50% of the world export of the crude palm oil, or CPO. And this is really has to be stopped, because the crisis is becoming bigger and bigger on biodiversities, especially in Sumatra and Kalimantan. Forest fires every year during this season, especially because the conversion, and they start to burning the forest. Next slide. So why I'm interested in the primate, and this is my last book about how the field guide to Indonesia primate. We have 64 species. It's the third richest after Madagascar and Brazil. So this is really a lot of new primate currently, just like the Pongo tapanulis, orangutan tapanuli, currently discovered in North Sumatra. So there are many others species, including the Tarsius wallacei, Tumpara, Nimitzi, Supriyatnai, and many others. So many very important, and a lot of things that before they log, before everything is gone. So we have to really, all the biologists has to go to the field, understand what are really biodiversity in the areas. Next slide. So here is my current research, that Sumatra basically it's really in the very brink of extinction, many others. So for example, the Tapanuli, Pongo Tapanuli, it's only 800 left. This is the most threatened species in the world compared to chimpanzee, gorilla, and many others. So the Tapanuli orangutan, the right side, you can see the pictures, is really in the brink of extinction because of many other problematic in their habitat. If you see that from our research, the primate lost habitats, more than 50%, some of them are really 82% of their habitats gone. It's only 18%, and those are also is going to be gone. So as my understanding that Indonesia, only 2 species that already gone, which is the Bali tiger and the Java tiger. Hopefully there is no other species going to be extinct. Even the tiger in Sumatra is currently no more than 400 left. That's really in the very, very difficult situation. Next slide. Similarly to the Borneo, so this is our research currently. Because of this so much infrastructure, especially the road, you can see the pictures below. You can see the proposed road across Borneo or Kalimantan, which is going to be all to the national park, to the protected area, or to the forest. And they will, of course, going to be disseminate all the forests, good forests there. Our prediction is going to be really in the 2 to 5 years, going to be so many forests going to be chopped down. And the critical endangered Presbytis canicrus, you can see that several primates there. The second after the top is the canicrus. We thought that it's already gone, but recently we found it. But it's really the critical. Maybe the population is almost only less than 1,000 left. Next slide. Here is also the in Sulawesi. We are working with the University of Candice collaboration to look at what that's really a problem, because we don't want to repeat it Sumatra and Kalimantan. So we hope that Sulawesi will be better. But in fact, after our studies, it's really deforestation is also very high in Sulawesi, similarly but different of these causes or drivers. Next slide. So you can see that Sulawesi, the whole primate in Sulawesi are endemics, and deforestation rate is a little bit low compared to Kalimantan and Sumatra, about 3 to 15%, depend on where but look at this one, there's 12 species of tarsius in 8 species of macaques. In Java is only 1 species of macaque. Sumatra only 2 species of macaque. But in Sulawesi, we have 8 species. So Sulawesi is a very laboratory, a natural laboratory for evolution, for biodiversity, understanding biodiversities. So next slide. But our set currently, it's how that really the response of the mammals, for example, Anoa and Babirusa, and how that really impact. You can see that the clade from the mitochondria DNA, there is a vary from north to south, and then you can see that genetic data saw the population across the region. It's really somehow it's really, for example, North Sumatra is really in a bad shape. because the others is also Babirusa similarly, it's almost extinct. Also in some part of the North Sulawesi, it's also one of the very bad because of the people there aggressively taking the Babirusa and Anua for bushmeat. Next slide. What that really means when we have a problem, when its biodiversity is becoming unstable, so there is a problem, and what we call the dilution effect. Dilution effect is when increased biodiversity in the area means reduced susceptibility for infectious disease at the community level. So we really are trying to understand this, how that really come about. Since 1987, we are really researching in these areas. So for example, so we really want to understand the driver of changes. The evolution, why is the macaque becoming 8 species? Why Tarsius? In Kalimantan in only 1 species, and in Sulawesi becoming 12 species. How that evolution it's come about in the areas? Why we found simian in the immunodeficiency or virus or SIV virus in the hybrid monkeys? In Sulawesi, there's only hybrid monkeys. There's only 2 hybrid monkeys in the world. One is in Africa, one is in Sulawesi. But in Sulawesi is very extended, not like in Africa, it's only one site. So the high biodiversity can reducing the population density of important natural reservoir for pathogens, reducing the population density of arthropod effector for pathogen, but reducing encounter rate between vector and reservoir or among the reservoir. So,
excuse me, Prof. Jatma.
Yes.
Your time is 3 minutes left.
Okay, thank you. Next slide. Here is Indonesian's wildlife trade bushmeat. So you can see that there's a very, very high bushmeat, especially the areas. So many protected species, 64% or 65% protected species, even they're becoming bushmeat. And that's really, you can see in the North Sulawesi especially, this is really where they start when every hunter come to the jungle, then start taking the bats from the fields, and that's it start this the bushmeat and disease ecology starting. Next slide. So here is our research. For example, bushmeat in Indonesia. So it seemed to be that North Sulawesi is becoming the most bushmeat trade in Indonesia, because it's about 600,000 wild animals are sold annually in North Sulawesi. They're always for food, and that's really now is becoming. If you see the pictures there, you can see that more bats are now is taken from the field. And that's really dangerous, because that's really all this disease usually coming from the wild. Yeah. Next slide. And that deforestation creates zoonosis closer to human, because they start, the wildlife, when deforestation, they start taking the wildlife. Next slide. And most of them, what we call the spillover pathogen, because of this disease. You can see that the spillover, either coronavirus, MERS, SARS-CoV-2, spillover coming from the animal, human, and for example, and rabies. or bird flu, or many others, including this is the SARS-CoV-2, whereas from the animal, human, and human to human, and also to animals, and then many others. It costs a lot for all, for pandemic and many others. Next slide. So this is almost the last slide. It's, if you can see that all this, the zoonotic outbreak is associated because with deforestation, associated with the crisis of biodiversity. And that is really, for example, the Nipah, you know, in Malaysia and Vietnam and Bangladesh, and also West Nile fevers, MERS in Middle East, you know, Ebola in Africa, and many others are related to of deforestation. It's very important that we have to be, look at this one. So the next slide, please, is the last one. So in summary, deforestation of primate or many other wildlife is more contact between human and the wildlife. It making zoonosis increase. And I think the biodiversity will, if you have still biodiversity, they will be buffer. But because of that, it's really the problem. So wildlife trade, especially currently, it's a very, very bad in Indonesia. And that's why I think in Sulawesi and Sumatra, even in Jakarta, for example, in Pasar Pramuka, the Pramuka market, there's still a lot of things. Although Director General of Indonesian Conservation recommend to close all market, wet market in Indonesia, but they're still very difficult. I heard that the China has banned all the wet market, and last week the Vietnam also banned all the wet market, so that we are not going to be having next pandemic in the future. But Indonesia may be the source if we don't close the wet market. That's why I think there's a very important message in this conference. I think during the pandemic, we don't want to repeat it, other pandemic or endemics, all this disease ecology, because this is really disease ecology. As our biodiversity, we need to understand this very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Jatna Supriyatna, for giving such informative and interesting presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, our second speakers will be Professor Sun Ki-hong from Mokpo National University, Republic of Korea. He graduated his master from Chungnam National University and doctorate degree from Hiroshima University. Actually, he is our senior. We call in Japanese Dai Senpei, because me and other department biology colleagues such as Burodi, Pak Lukman, Buida, Pak Brian graduated from same laboratory and under same supervisor, Professor Nakagoshi. And the current project is evaluation project for new national park, Tidal Flat National Park, National Survey of Inhabited in Island in Korea. He is also a chief editor or member of board editor several reputable international journal. He published many books and articles in international journal. 3 years ago, we published a book together with Pak Lukman, Buida, me and other contributor with title Landscape Ecology for Sustainable Society, published by Springer. Currently, we are also proposing to write a book to the same publisher. In this session, Professor Hong will deliver a speech entitled 10 Years Research on Korean Archipelago, Future Vision on Island Biocultural Landscape. Professor Hong's time is yours, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, good.
Very
Okay.
clear.
Very clear.
Assalamualaikum. Good morning.
Good morning. Salam.
Yes. Thank you for inviting me to an important symposium held at Brawijaya University. I had a chance to present a few times, but I could not attend due to the lack of time. Because it is a pandemic situation, it is pity that I could not meet in person and announce it online. Today, my presentation title is 10 years research on Korean archipelago, future vision on island biocultural landscape. In terms of biocultural landscape and biocultural diversity, I briefly introduce my island research achievement. Island research requires understanding the characteristics of several islands. Because the island is surrounded by sea, the microclimate can vary depending on the oceanic weather. Due to the recent climate crisis, sea level rise in the island area has become a problem. Because of the limited area and resources, resilience may be weak. Efficient use of ecological and cultural resources is an important way to maintain island sustainability. Next, please. In today's presentation, I'll explain the status of Korea Islands, policies, and the citizens' perception on the island, as well as the result of my research on archipelago in Korea for over 10 years. And finally, I would like to briefly introduce my university institution where I am working. Next, please. Among the issues related to Korean islands, a Day of Island was the most important issue. It was designated as a national anniversary in 2018, and August 8th is the anniversary of each year. I'm the first person to present the necessity of designating this island day. In 2016, I made a social issue with the first article, and with the cooperation of many people, the Korean government regularized it in 2018. Next, please. From now on, I introduce our island. In Korea, the number of islands varies according to the administrative departments related to Korea policies and projects. This is the reality of our country. According to the survey conducted by the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries last year, there are 3,348 islands were identified, the 14% of which are inhabited islands. The number of islands in the world is not known exactly, but according to the World Atlas data, number of Korea island seems to be roughly between Greece and Estonia. Next, please. According to a recent survey by government, Koreans' interest in the island is the development of the island. In particular, it is considered that the development of tourism resource and the improvement of living standards are the main ones. Next, please. The most of the islands are distributed in the southwestern part of the Korean peninsula. The tidal flats have developed here, and many islands are concentrated. We called it archipelago. The islanders mainly do offshore fishing, salt farming, aquaculture, and agriculture on the island. Next, please. This area is designated as a national park because of its beautiful natural scenery, biodiversity, and ecological culture. In Korea, there are 2 archipelago national parks. Although designated as a national park, it has been a model for sustainable fishing development that has been maintained through community activities of residents for a long time. Next, please. The archipelago area in the Southwestern Sea is an important stopover for migratory birds and an important place for various birds. Many plants and animals designated as natural monuments are inhabiting in this area. Next, please. The picture is a representative island in the Southwestern Sea region. Long ago, small islands surrounded by tidal flats were reclaimed and turned into the farmland and the salt farm. Next, please. There are various forests on the island waterfront, and these coastal forests have a long tradition of protecting villages from waves and the tsunami. The vegetation of the islands in the Southwestern Sea region is influenced by the oceanic climate, showing a mixture of warm and warm forest. Next, please. Tidal flats are an important ecosystem and also an important living activity area for traditional fishing. Seaweed is an important resource and is grown in a traditional way. Recently, the islanders are also interested in the tourism industry. Next, please. In the archipelago region, various traditional cultures, such as primitive religions, still remain. But as biodiversity decreases and urbanization process, such traditional culture are rapidly disappearing. Next, please. Biodiversity develops a diverse food culture. Food in the archipelago region is a high food diversified due to the development of seafood, agricultural product, and salt. Next, please. Although interest in the island is increasing, it is a reality that in-depth study of island identity and environment are still lacking. This photo is a photo of a field trip to the International Symposium on Vegetation Science operated in Archipelago in 2012 as the chairman of the organizing committee. This is the island area of national park called Huksan-do. Next, please. This is a picture of Huksan Island in Dadue Maritime National Park. It is famous for tourism and aquaculture industry. Next, please. This is Hongdo from Dadue Maritime National Park. It's the same national park located in the Huksan Island. The full island is the natural monument. Especially this island is an important place as a migratory bird habitat. Next, please. The island and the coastal areas of the Southwestern Sea area are recognized as an ecosystem and are designated as UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, Ramsar Wetland Site, and provincial parks. In particular, we are making effort to designate the regional tidal flat area as a national UNESCO World Natural Heritage Site. please. The following is an introduction to Korea Island Development Policy. The main administrative department for island development and the construction of the landing bridge, Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport. In addition, various departments make plans for environmental conservation, tourism development, and the conservation of cultural properties. Next, please. The following island-related project currently underway by the major administrations. The Ministry of Public Administration and Security, Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport, and the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries conduct major development projects, while the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism mainly conduct software projects, such as tourism content development. The management of uninhabited island is ongoing by the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries. The problem is that there is a lot of confusion in planning and execution due to the different legislation on island policy for each administrative department. Next, please. The following is information on Korea Island tourism policy. We are developing tourism considering nature, culture, and economic characteristics. But the reality of the island and the options of the resident are not well reflected. In the future, it is necessary to discuss tourism policies that solve these problems. Recently, various island tourism policies have been established to take advantage of the characteristics of island in each local government, and efforts are being made to carry out tourism development project from the perspective of the islanders. Next, please. As the Island Day was enacted, the central government, including the president, provide new issues for the island policy. We are considering measures to improve the living environment and economic power of the islanders. Next, please. The following are the main problem of the Korean island. There may be many, but only a few representatives are introduced. Climate change is the global problem. For the islanders who had lived around fishing, and the change of a marine ecosystem is a big problem. The types of fish stocks are changing, and the seasonal catches are also changing significantly. The sea environment has a great influence on the island life. Nevertheless, the government is rushing to revitalize the island, adapting to climate change and preserving the natural ecosystem. Creating a sustainable island is an important issue in the future of Korea. Next, please. The most islands face aging and population decline. Decline in population is shrinking the economic activity of the island. The population is shrinking rapidly compared to the 1980s, and most of them are moving to nearby cities. Next, please. Next is landfill. The reclamation of the tidal flood ecosystem is one of the historically important national projects. Currently, there are no large-scale landfills, but there are still small-scale landfills in the province. Next, please. The recent rapid increase, the construction of the island bridge. Large and small bridges are being built in the southwestern island area. Although it is said to be a business for tourists visiting to island, the problem is that the characteristics of the island are rapidly changing. Next. Next. Okay. In this picture, the red line is the already completed bridge, and the blue line is a bridge to be built in the future. This area is part of the archipelago. I made these issues an issue in Korean society through major broadcasting systems. Next, please. There are several island research objectives and approaches, but I'm working on a few of the following: ecosystem conservation, climate change, sustainability, island management, and biocultural diversity are my important research project. Next, please. I have been researching island biocultural diversity for a long time. In 2012, the IUCN World Conservation Congress held in Jeju Island, I submitted a proposal and read the adoption of the resolution. I would appreciate if you visit the IUCN website and search IUCN Resolution 5.115 for details of the initiative. Next, please. The concept of biocultural diversity is determined by the agreement between UNESCO and the Secretary of Convention of Biological Diversity. And it is already used internationally. The use of a biological resource is essential for the development of culture in a country or region. The conservation of biodiversity is consistent with the conservation of cultural diversity. Next, please. In particular, there is a very close relationship between the natural environment composed of vegetation, biodiversity, and the physical environment, and the socio-economic factors. Recently, the term ecosystem service is used to describe the relationship, but humans have already confirmed the mechanism of maintaining the biocultural landscape through mutual complementarity between the two paradigms. Thank you. The concept of biocultural diversity is published in my book. Since cultural diversity and biodiversity are expressed in a living space of coexisting and evolving landscapes, biocultural diversity should consider the background of the landscape ecosystems. Next, please. The concept of biocultural diversity and the biocultural landscape has already been established by many scholars and is used in various international environmental conservation policies. There has been many reports from UNESCO and IUCNs. Next, please. The value of island biocultural diversity is more important than any other reason, as the island culture is a resource developed through the use of unique marine environment and the creatures. Unfortunately, many island states and island areas are in critical condition in terms of preserving biodiversity due to the population decline and the climate crisis. Next, please. Related to this, I have been conducting research on island ecosystem in Indonesia, Asia, and Europe for more than 10 years. This is Bali, Indonesia. Next, please. These are small islands in Indonesia, Japan, Spain, and Italy. We are forming the network with the local expert to discuss and study how local community respond to climate change and ecosystem changes. Next, please. The IUCN General Assembly of Hawaii in 2016, I proposed the Global Island Biocultural Diversity Initiative, and currently has a network of key ASEAN Pacific stakeholders. The need of initiative is basically an agenda-based sustainable island development and the strengthening island biocultural diversity. Next, please. The following figure is expressing strategy and action plan for Global Island Biocultural Diversity Initiative. Because this is so complicated figure, so I introduce very briefly. First, this picture is on island development model based on strengthening of a philosophy of a concept based on IUCN resolution 5.115. By 5 approaches, we can achieve 4 core goals of a big circle. I present a model that should be mutually collaborative so that the 5 approaches work well in the virtuous cycle. Next, please.
Excuse me, Prof. Hong. Your time is 3 minutes left.
Yes, almost finishing. The following figure is a model of sustainable island development considering the island situation in Korea. In the absence of the in-depth data on the nature of the island, overdevelopment is a threat. Therefore, it is essential to recognize the island resource space and the traditional industry. The traditional knowledge of the islanders is also important value. Above all, the most important is the community of residents. The island area has been maintained as a community activity. The cooperation of the resident is absolutely necessary for sustainable development. Considering this hierarchical order, there must be island development. Next, please. Our research institute is an affiliated research institute of Mokpo National University and is the only island comprehensive research institution founded in 1983. Next, please. Our institution conducts interdisciplinary research in which humanities, social science, and natural science converge, and conduct policy research for sustainable development, international cooperation research, science and technology support, and island resident cooperation project. There is also Graduate School of Marine and Island Culture Studies, and we are also nurturing researchers. Next, please. Our institution has published international academic journal since 2012 and was listed in the Scopus in the 2012. Professionals such as International Society of Ireland participate as editors. Thank you for submitting the good manuscript you presented today. A special issue is also welcome. Next, please. As I also said before, I have been researching on island of Indonesia for over 10 years. I plan to study the island of Indonesia for the next 10 years. So far, Dr. Lukman Hakim and has always been working together and has published good papers related to it. Unfortunately, after the survey at West Timor in this January, I have been unable to travel in Indonesia because of COVID situation. I hope that the pandemic situation will end soon. If possible, I would like to conclude academic cooperation between research institutions in the future between two universities. Although it is a short time, I introduce my research result, including the island situation in Korea. Thank you for listening. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Prof. Hong, for very interesting presentation. Yeah. I understand the situation next time. If the COVID-19 ending, you can come again to Indonesia. It's very welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, our last speakers in this session will be Professor Jing Sizhou from Department of Biomechatronic Engineering, National Pingdong University, Science and Technology, Republic of China. Her field of study is bioinformatics, biotechnology.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Okay, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so...
Time is yours.
Oh, time is... Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Professor. I'm very glad to have this chance to share our study in this conference. My title, how can I show my PPT or slide? Okay.
Committee, please.
Show our PPT slide. Oh, I will control in my screen. Okay, 可以帮我抓一下吗? Okay, sorry, I asked my student to help me. Okay. Okay, sorry. Hello, excuse me. Can I show my PowerPoint? No. Hello.
Committee, please respond.
PowerPoint.
Just a moment.
Okay, so
just a moment, Professor.
还没有结束，还没有收到，有几个群，这个群，这边有没有看？就是哇，开点转了。别人没找到。所以我现在要怎么办？他们还没有找到。
Prof. Jul?
Prof. Joe? Prof. Joe? Prof. Joe? Are you
Prof.
ready, share
Prof.
your
Joe,
share
please
screen?
unmute.
Okay, wait a minute. Just preparing.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Can
Sorry,
you hear me?
because my student is trying to apologize for this problem.
Okay.
I already sent the email for my speak PPT for you.
Okay, waiting for your email.
Okay, please check your email.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for technical error. I do hope you be patient for a little while.
Need my PPT to 好慢哦，太慢了。因为我现在在会议当中啊，怎么样？Your professor share your sorry because the chairman cannot, the host cannot share the screen. 太慢了。And the chairman doesn't let us to share the monitor. What does mean? Okay. Key from the first. Open key for the first key. For the open key. Kinds of key. Now 重新加入吗？可以寄到这个 email. Try to send from email. Can send email. I can send email. I can send ICBU Gmail.
Hello, Prof. Joe. Prof. Joe, can you hear me? Prof. Joe, please unmute. Hello, Prof. Joe.
Once again, hello?
Yes. Okay, can you present your presentation without slide?
Because I try to doesn't have the screen. 它
Yes,
上传了
because
吗
it cannot be
Use
so
the
yeah, please
sort
just
of
present, okay?
I speak directly. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. So the computer and the international I first have to thank you, the conference committee, to invite me to join this conference. My title is about so probiotic improve rice growth and decrease bacterial leaf blight of rice. Pingdong University. Okay, for right now, my students still help me to fix the computer program. And the first slide, I have to introduce our campus. University. We are located in Taiwan and the Philippines. Our campus is famous in biotechnology. I apologize because doesn't have the PPT, so when you download our PPT file. Okay, I just speak the outline. Thank you so much. The page 3, the outline. Please go to the page 3 outline. Okay, thank you so much. I will speak very quick. The outline, the first we will talk about the problem. Okay, the rice industry problem in Taiwan. And the second one, I will introduce the methods right now we use. We call it system of probiotic rice intensification. And another thing, our team to isolation of environmental friendly microorganisms, which involve in the nitrogen cycle. We have a special medium to isolate this kind of bacteria. Like the Bacillus aryabhata, this strain. And the fifth, we want to use the Bacillus rice disease, the bacterial leaf blight of rice. The bacterial leaf blight of rice is a very serious disease, usually happen in Taiwan in the autumn. Okay, finally, we want to use the SRI and the SPRI paddy field. The paddy field community regionals and bacterial communities in the soil. The last one is conclusion. Please go to the next slide. Okay, let's introduce you our country, Taiwan. You can see the star. The pink star is show the experiment location. We treated the SPRI. Problem in Taiwan because right now we have a very high production cost. So farmer, they will use the machinized productions. Another thing is to eat the hamburger, fried chicken. So the population eating rice gradually decrease. So our government to do some processing food, healthy food or cosmetic to use the rice as the material. So by this kind of reason, we can increase Another thing is Taiwan is an island, so we are difficult to keep the water. So we have the high water. By this kind of problem, we choose the SRI these methods. SRI these methods is come from Africa. We know Africa, they doesn't have a lot of water resource. So the SRI can give us a very good to save the water. The other two problems and the pests or the disease and kinds of in different seasons. So we want to decrease the farmer to use the chemical fertilizer and thinking we can use the bacterial plant interaction to use the good bacteria to inhibit the bad microbes. So we modify the SRI become the system of probiotic rise intensification, SPRI. Okay, please go to next slide. Okay, let me introduce what is the SRI. The SRI have the principles. Quick and a healthy plant establishment, reduce plant density, improve soil condition through enrichment with the organic methods, reduce and control water application. If you're interested about the SRI, please go to this website. It's made by American Cornell University. Information about SRI. Okay, please go to next slide. Okay, on our thinking, SPRI, the system of probiotic rise intensification and the plant probiotic bacteria, we combine both of them because the organic matter they can apply growth and develop the plant grow better. This reference can told us environment, they will become the triangle. If we keep the biodiversity and we can make the nutrient exchange to make the plant growth promotion and control the disease and the pest. That is our wanted ERI to solve the problem happen right now in the please go to next. Next slide. Hello. Right now, because in Taiwan we use the conventional agriculture, so the chemical used for agricultural system have been shown to alter the microbial community, such as decrease the diversity in the soil. That is a problem because the microbe is very small. We cannot see that. If the microbe community is damaged, we don't know how to save that. Another thing is we want to make the soil diversity toward a more natural community. That is the future we want. In the green world, we call it rhizophage cycle. A kind of interaction between the soil microbe and the plant become more healthy. Okay, please go to the next slide. Okay, this slide is to talk about our team's job. Also, you can find the news report in this website. Okay, I was make the rice become more healthy and the more deeply root plant rice production yard about 30%. Okay, that is a very good. Another thing, we will combine the smart irrigation system to control the water to make the water use more efficiency. our job. Okay, please go to the next. Okay, right now we go back to talk about. I will introduce you how to environmentally friendly microorganism. A very famous, we call it EM bacteria, the effective microorganism. This one is the first time shown in Japan. They teaching farmer to culture the EM bacteria by them. Effective microorganisms are liquid mixed culture made up the lactic acid bacteria, photosynthesis bacteria, and yeast, which are. And the second one I talk about the gift, how we get the gift of nature. Okay, please go to the next slide. Please go to the next slide. Okay, this job is we working in to teaching the farmer how to make the EM. The first thing you have to go to the forest to find some fallen leaf and prepare some rice bran, molasses, and add waters. After 2 weeks, the 2 weeks fermentation, you will get the EM by yourself. That is an easy way to teaching the farmer to make the EM by themselves. Okay, please go to the next one. But in our lab, we have the machine. Kinds of idea to isolate the environment. Okay, you can see near the Rafflesia, okay, the red flower, the Rafflesia. This picture is taken in Malaysia, Sarawak. Color machine near the flower. Gas sampling equipment machine. They can filter air. The bottle. So actually we use these kinds of methods to collect a lot of air in the forest. National park policy, we cannot take anything out of the national park. So we think maybe we can catch or save the air. So we use this machine to take a lot of particle inside the air to prepare the EM value. To isolate the special bacteria and keep it into the bottle and go back to our lab. Please go to next slide. Okay, so that is our flow tray to isolate. Actually, these methods I have to thank to Baravijaya University student Anga and Elmi. She helped me a lot to isolate 2 of these bacteria. Okay, the first one, we collect the microorganism and we prepare a special medium. Inside the medium only have glucose, sodium pyruvate, sodium acetate. So you can see inside the medium, we doesn't have any nitrogen source. That is a nitrogen source deficient medium. If the bacteria can survive on these kinds of medium, maybe they involve in the nitrogen cycle in the ecosystem. That is our idea. So we are very lucky we isolate 2 of these bacteria. The first I will introduce you about the Bacillus aeruginosus strain. This job is made by Angga, is a very excellent Indonesia student. Please go to next slide. Okay, we use the identity to go to the NCBI to identify the 60SR ribosomal RNA sequence. That is 100% query over. So we make sure the bacteria is Bacillus aeruginosus strains. Okay, we purify and store these bacteria come from the forest. Please go to the next slide. Please go to next slide. Okay, so Anga, she make a very interesting study. She grow the rice in the soil, doesn't add the chemical fertilizer, only add the bacillus strains. You can see the inside the A picture, and the rice doesn't grow very good, but we detect the chlorophyll concentration. The SW1 is the bacillus areata strain. You can see the color is a little green than the control. Okay, so in the pot experiment, the bacillus strain doesn't show how good it is. So please go to the next slide. Okay, we will add this bacillus strain into the SPRI system mixed with bacteria. After the harvest, after the one cultural season, we discovered the SPRI treatment show a very good resistant to bacterial leaf blight of rice. It's very interesting. You can see the picture A. The picture A is the conventional agricultural methods. They also get a very serious disease. But you can see the picture A, the leaf color is green because the nitrogen source into the field. Because some farmer, they see if the plant grow, the color is green, they can resist the disease. But that is not true. We can see the picture B. Maybe you brown and the yellow, but that is the SPRI treatment. You can see, although the is not is a little brown, but actually the ear of rice have strong branch and a high rate of stubbles. So the farmer, he told me in the picture B, enough rice in last season. Okay, so that is a very good result that encourage us to keep going to analysis what is the special of the Bacillus aeruginosa. Okay, please go to the next one. Okay, the second bacteria we isolate is Sphenogobium. Sphenogobium strain we also identify by 60S RNA gene sequence. That is the NCBI blast data. The query coverage is also 100%. Okay, so that is we make sure for this bacteria is correct. Please go to next slide. Okay, we also mix this bacteria into the SPRI system. You can see in the picture A, that is the conventional agriculture. After the serious heavy rain and typhoon, the rice will fall down. But the picture B is our SPRI education system. We use the probiotic to reduce the disease, and the plant will become more healthy and more strong. Okay, please go to the next. Please go to the next. Okay, because we talk about two of these kinds of bacteria can help the plant to tolerance the disease. So we use the Photoshop system to calculate the incidence rates. Okay, so actually we use these methods. Sorry, I didn't type on the data. After we calculate the incidence rate, we discovered the SPRI test is more than 50% control. So that is the early stage when we use about two of these kinds matter in Taiwan, no matter in the treatment area, they also show a very good result. Please go to the next. Okay, another thing, we also want to use this machine to because the pathogen will diffuse by air or diffuse by the waters. Okay, we use this we use to collect the gas to sample the airborne microbial sample, and the PPT, this picture is collected in the rice vegetative phage. We choose the bacteria lip light special PCR primer to detect the three petty field. The ABC is our SPRI treated field. Control is the other conventional farming rice. So you can see in the very early stage, the vegetative phage, the control sample can detect the PCR product to show that the pathogen concentration is getting higher in control field. So we also want to use this kind of method to prediction the pathogen happening time. Okay, that is our future work.
Excuse me, Professor.
The time is up. Okay.
Yes, time is
So,
2 minutes.
Okay, it's okay. 2 minutes. Okay, we use the SPRI system to exceed the nitrogen fertilizer and the sufficient yield to maintain the production. Yeah, that is the first job. Okay, please go to the next part. Okay, why these kinds of why these kinds of bacteria is useful? You can compare two of these picture. In the bottom, you can see the root system is grow better than the upper side, than the control sample. Okay, because some reference told us the bacillus and the Schiffolbian, two of these kinds of plant can stimulate the plant to synthesize IAA. So like the IAA synthesize can promote. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, we also use the microbe community diversity to detect our field. So finally, we discover if you decrease the chemical fertilizer, 25, just only use 50% or 25% chemical fertilizer and add the 100% the EM bacteria or use the probiotic, you can maintain the bacteria diversity in the soil and also keep your production is very good. Okay, please go to the next one. Okay, so that is the same picture. We can see that some proteobacteria and the firmicute bacteria will grow better in our test field. Okay, please go to next part. Okay, let's see our summary. Okay, we use these kinds of methods to find some nitrogen cycling related bacteria to help the SPRS system and to let the soil biodiversity better, because the other good bacteria like cyanobacteria or firmicate will also increase their population number in the soil. Please go to the next one. Okay, that is our picture working in the field. Okay, please go to the next one. Okay, we add the probiotic into the field. That is the concentration we add into the field. 400 liters of probiotic liquid could be used in an area of 6 hectares. The bacteria density is 5 and 6 and the CFU in the bacteria. Please go to the next part. Okay, finally, we can harvest a lot of rice. And very interesting, we also see the wild duck egg in the field. That is an eco-friendly system to also help the farmer to earn the money, also keep our farmers' environment is better. Okay, so that is our thinking. Okay, please go to the next. That is my conclusion. Please see this picture. That is two fields. One is the conventional agriculture. Another one is our SPRI. I don't know which one you like, but I think the SPRI system make the plant more healthy and decrease the chemical fertilizer use to save the money. Okay, that is our object. Okay, the conclusion. Our team do a lot of job about the precision agriculture, rotational fertilization, sustainable agriculture, and the most important thing is stable food supply. Okay, so the next slide. Okay, next slide. I have to thank to my team worker, and the research funding is come from Council of Agriculture and NPUST, our university. The first I have to thank about our PI, Professor Wang. He organized all the members working together. Okay, some people working in food processing, healthy food development. Some professor like they working on data analysis. That is a big team working together. Okay, thanks, Professor. You give this chance to introduce you all of our job about the rice SPRI system in Taiwan. And finally, we wish, I hope all is well with you and everybody is healthy and safe during this kinds of stage. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. So, ladies and gentlemen, we just have 20 minutes left for question and answer section.
Okay.
Please give me a moment. I will select and read the question first for Prof. Jatna Supriyatna.
Okay. 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 So I saw the question. That's a quick slide.
Yes, the first question is from Dwi Purno. The question, how we can convert the biodiversity value in the real value that local people able to absorb this value to increase the income. And the second from Rama Daniel Pitopang from Tadulako University. Our island is located in Wallace region, the transition zone between west part of Indonesia and east part of Indonesia. Wallace is recognized as a hotspot of biodiversity. It is very famous with its high number of endemic fauna and flora. In my side of science, the knowledge of our region of Wallace, flora is poorly known due to the little botanic research here. But in the last 10 years, a number of plant species were described as new species, including begonia, Nepenthes, calamus, and so on and so on. On the other hand, the biodiversity of Indonesia, including Sulawesi, have threatened by human activities such as forest fire that always occurs in Indonesia. Many forest areas were converted to oil palm plantation, nickel mining, illegal logging. My question is, what are your opinion about this phenomenon? Do you have a good recipe to conserve all taxon of Indonesian biodiversity? Please, Prof. Jatma, you can respond these questions.
Thank you, Pak Amin. Let me understand the question for about this. How do we materialize basically from the biodiversity potential into the market. I think that the 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 bioprospecting, what you call it, bioprospecting, it's not only the concept, but also how do we use that to be really use it into the practice. For example, if you see the ethnobiology right now, the development of ethnobiology, uh, uh, for example, the buah merah in Papua used to be only the potential, but now it's becoming the medicines. There are so many, you know, but there has to be someone as a biologist, you know, to look at that potential and understanding and making collaboration with the private sectors and many others to make sure that becoming the from potential becoming to the real economy. Yeah, either tourism, either the bioprospecting for medicine, for food, and for uh, anything. There has to be us as biology to understand that, so that the community will try to make things it's easier to be product, you know. So that's really need to be science-based research and practical-based research. So there has to be combined that between the scientific and practical-based research. I think there has to be many examples. For example, currently the labiobarbus fish is a very potential. It's a 15 kilograms, and it was really in the Indonesia. For example, in Jawa they call tombro, in Tambra, in Sunda they call kancra, in Sumatra they call ikan batak. But now they are becoming one of our students, for example, from Sumatra. They can make this becoming the domesticated the fish, and now it's becoming a more and more potential to be to be in economy. That's the first answer to the first question. The second question about asking about the biodiversity rich in Sulawesi, Wallacea, is I was mentioned about this evolutionary history, the best evolutionary history island. So of course that currently, because I will mention about the Sumatra is chopped down already, Kalimantan is already chopped down. Sulawesi, it has been there quite long time with the high biodiversity. But currently they're moving from the oil palm, they're trying to move to Sulawesi. So the closest one from Kalimantan is central Sulawesi and the northern part of Sulawesi, Gorontalo. So that was really the oil palm development there. And then the southeast Sulawesi, you know, so because there are so many land available. But I think with the moratorium right now, the president moratorium, I think they will be halted the development of this oil palm. But the worries me is about the corn or the maize, you know. The maize, because of the promoted by the governor of Gorontalo, becoming the drivers of deforestation in Gorontalo and North Sumatra and North Sulawesi. And now they are becoming to the spread to the south, central, and southeast Sulawesi. And that will worry me because the value for the corn is not so much compared to the biodiversity, compared to the oil palm, but also is becoming the most, because they are planted in the very rigid forest, in the very high slope of the forest. And that was really the important. And what the other one is about, let me, okay, the other ones is about conserve all taxon Indonesia biodiversity. I think this is our homework for biologists, is trying to work with the economy, or your interdisciplinary research with the economists, trying to get things, how that values becoming the real values. Instead of oil palms and maize and coffee and many others, there are so many potential in Sulawesi, or biodiversity in Sulawesi. Tourism is one of those. For example, Toraja tourism, instead of culture tourism, they also can be combining with the natural tourism. North Sulawesi, for example, the tertiary tourism is becoming a really big issue, but it's becoming a very big potential. Sulawesi is very unique, biodiversity and evolutionary history. So you're not jeopardizing this island for the very cheap development. That is the maize, oil palm, and many others. So I think we really need all these biologists to look at this, the values, and look at the what has to be done to conserve biodiversity in Sulawesi. I think currently we have 6 national parks in Sulawesi, but it's not enough. So we really need to be expanded more so that we can protect, but at the same time, we cannot just save. We really need to study, we need to utilize biodiversity. Thank you, Pak Amin.
Thank you, Prof. Chatna. And the question for Professor Zhou, what is the media to make EM4? Is the single culture or mixed culture in EM4? How many cell or bacteria for application in the rice plants? This question from Nani Radiastuti, UIN Jakarta. Please, for Professor Zhou to answer. Please unmute. Professor Zhou, can you unmute?
Okay, hello.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, that is a very good question, because the EM, actually the EM is not a single bacteria. I just to answer the last question, how many cell or how many bacteria for application in rice plant? We use the NGS analysis we developed. The EM bacteria is more than 3,000 to 4,000 different kinds of bacteria. The EM, the median, what's the median to make the EM? It's very easy. You just add some sugar, add water, and to find some leaf or find some soil. If you sow your friends, they can grow very good rice. You just collect a little soil from the field. That is okay. Okay. So the EM, some people in Taiwan, some farm like the milk or like the fish into the media, I think it's not necessary. You just only need sugar, molasses, and water, and some. Because if the medium is too rich, they will grow the other thing, have a bad smell. Okay, so it's not easy. The bacteria, where you get the effective microorganism. So we need to find a very good and a very natural environment, like the forest. So you can go to the forest to collect some leaf and collect some soil as the source to grow your EM. So the medium is very simple, sugar and water. And after we treat it with the EM, we also add the bacillus and the other purified bacteria with the EM. So finally, the bacteria population is more than 3,000 or 4,000. Okay, that is my answers. Okay, that is my answers.
Yes, okay, thank you, Prof. Zhou. Ladies and gentlemen, the question for Professor Hong has already answered in the chat room. So please, you can read the chat room. And now we can close this discussion session. And finally, we come to the end of this morning session. Before I close this seminar, I would like to take a brief conclusion about what the speaker have presented, that the situation in Indonesia and other countries such as Korea and Taiwan is a little bit difference. So how we can take part in the conservation effort is depend on the local situation. So the local situation is very important for us to consider in the conservation action. And then the EM consists of many bacteria, and that's very useful to be applied in the rice field as the probiotic, to improve the rice growth and decrease bacterial leaf blight of rice. Thank you very much for your attentions, and hopefully this seminar will be improve our understanding and fruitful for everybody. Please give applause for the speakers and for you all. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Times I return to MC.
Thank you very much for the Excellencies keynote speaker for an interesting presentation. Thank you, moderator, for leading the main session nicely. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finished the main session. Before we go to the parallel session, first, we will hold a photo session by screenshot. To do it, please turn on your video feature for a while. The operator will take a picture by screenshot. We will start to take picture of 7-page slide. Okay, please be patient. Next slide. Okay, we're going to third page. Okay, next slide. For page 4. Next slide for slide 5. Thank you, everybody. Please pay your attention. During the parallel session, each participant will be entered by the operator or host to the breakout room, determined by the committee. Please accept host invitation on your Zoom notification to join the breakout room, which has been divided based on participant registration. Thank you for your attention and see you on the next plenary session. Happy and enjoy your parallel session. Goodbye.